everybody, welcome to McFarland Minutes, our weekly podcast hosted by Natalie McFarland, me, and founder and president of McFarland Productions, and Scout Foster, our outreach marketing manager. In these episodes, you can expect deleted scenes, in-depth campaign reviews, project highlights, marketing concepts, book reviews, and a deep dive into the creative process at Off Your Rocker Films, and of course, invaluable lessons on mentorship, leadership, and the business of it all. We are so excited to be releasing our episodes every Sunday as your soft launch to Monday. Hey everybody, welcome to McFarland Minutes, episode 24, your soft launch to Monday. One of my favorite people are with us today, Erin DeLong, who has been with Durango for 10 plus years. Wow, incredible lady. I think I got to meet you actually first, Erin, through Cowgirl 30 Under 30, I think maybe was the first place we got to meet. But man, anytime I get to get a chance to talk with you one-on-one or watch you speak, I am just impressed. I'm always impressed. You're an incredible person, so wickedly smart, and such a talent in the marketing world. Can you give us a little background on you and how you ended up where you are now?
Yes. Well, thank you, Natalie and Scout, for having me on, and thank you for that introduction. Natalie, you're exactly right. We met back in, I think, 2021. Cowgirl's 30 Under 30 program, which is an incredible program itself, which we'll talk about later on. I am here with Durango Boots under our parent company, Rocky Brands. So I'm the marketing manager, and as you alluded to, which dates me, I guess, as you're saying, over a decade. That's a long time to be
I've
in.
been in it 17 years, so I'll date myself worse if you'd
Okay,
like.
okay, we're in the same kind of realm there. But yeah, for those that don't know, probably our brand Durango Boots is headquartered in Ohio. So a lot of Western brands obviously are kind of not in this area, this region of the United States, but we are. So we're under the parent company Rocky Brands. So we have a couple other sister brands. But I'm born and raised here in Ohio, and that's kind of how this opportunity came to be for myself. I actually interned at the company before I graduated college. So I will plug internships. I think paid or unpaid are really, really important. So I did that. I was a marketing and a PR major in college. I love to talk, which is perfect for this podcast today. I said if I never got a job, I'll be like a Walmart greeter. So thank you, God.
I think professional speaker would have fit you better than Walmart greeter, but
So that didn't happen, thankfully. So God opened up a door for me as soon as I graduated college. I actually had a couple other interviews I was doing with some other businesses and companies, and nothing kind of panned out. So this opportunity with Durango and Rocky Brands came to be. I actually started in sales. So for about 2.5 years, I got my feet wet on the sales side of things, which is great to understand the business side. But really, marketing was my passion. So 2.5 years later, I was able to transition into the Durango Boots marketing manager role and been here ever since. And I've loved it, Natalie and Scout. I have been able to be a part of a brand that was, a little bit smaller years ago to where it is now. And to say you're kind of a part of that team, that rebrand, that growth, I think is incredible. So it's been a really fun ride. I've got to meet some incredible people like yourselves and do a lot of amazing things. So it's been really, really fun. I didn't actually start in the Western industry growing up. I was a part of 4-H. We have a agricultural family. My dad's side, they farm. So growing up, my cousin is actually the FFA and ag teacher at our high school. So that was a part of my life, but not necessarily kind of the Western side of things. So that's been really fun for myself to kind of be integrated into that over the last decade. And I've come to love this world, love the people such as yourselves. They are the salt of the earth, genuine people. So that's been, a credible part of this role, getting to work with some incredible people.
yeah, man, you've done some incredible things, in your career, and it's so fun to watch you at NFR every year. You're a busy lady at the NFR. But the brand's growth has been wild too. I can't really remember a time before I knew who Durango was, so it's not that they didn't exist. But man, it just feels like you guys blew up over the last few years. What do you think I want to get into some of the campaigns that you guys do at Durango. I love them so much, but what do you think you can attribute that growth to? And it's going to be a number of things, I'm sure, but what do you think really brought Durango kind of back to life and put you on such a national stage?
When I kind of started, we've done a rebrand in a 180 in the good way, since kind of seeing it, the early 2010s to where it is now. And I'll be honest with you, it's been a very quick shift, which is great. Sometimes that rebrand takes quite a long time. I will say, Natalie, when kind of I knew Durango when I first was introduced, it was much more female focused, fashion brand, if you will, not necessarily core audience is who we spoke to, or at least in the rodeo world. So I want to say the very first I recall kind of pivotal moments is when we came on board as a presenting sponsor of the American, back when
Mm-hmm.
RFDT had it.
Mm-hmm.
That's when I think really kind of the shift happened. People started to realize, hey, this brand is rebranded and they're here now to kind of play more in the Western sports space. Coincidentally, at the same time, we were starting our Team Durango roster of athletes. Our first two was Paul Eves and Luke Brown, two
Couple
team.
of good ones.
They were partners at the time, but two incredible individuals that we started out with. And they actually kind of helped sing that song of, hey, guys, it's not the Durango that you used to know. The product was shifting as well. So I got to give a shout out to our product team. Product is king in a lot of ways. And so when you have the right product, you're speaking to the right demographic, the marketing, it's all like you're singing the same song. That's
Mm-hmm.
when things started to change for us. And so pre-COVID, which we now can earmark that, it was BC before COVID, is really when that shift was happening. And so between then to now, Natalie, I mean, it's been as the official boot of the NFR, having a roster of 19 athletes. It's just been incremental for our brand and our business. And so the product shifted as well. So we now are about a 65% male demographic brand, about 25% women, and then the rest are kids. So that shift as well with our offering, going much more on the core circuit. Our work division for men as well has been tremendous. So I would say a lot of that kind of started with, our association, our partnerships, having some endorsees and influencers speaking, for us on our behalf, to now where we're the official boot of the National Finals Rodeo. We have a PRCA collection, doing all these amazing things that have really now positioned us in that light to rebrand the brand where you think of Durango, you're like, oh, now it's this kind of,
Mm-hmm.
offering and not what it used to be.
Sure. Yeah. I think, the partnership with PRCA and official boot of the NFR and all of that, like that's got to be just a huge partnership for you guys. And it's, I love going through the PRCA collection because like I know those are boots that are going to do well in a saddle, right? I think that sometimes, especially when we're shopping online, I don't live in a super retail heavy area, right? So like finding Durango here locally is a little bit tough, but shopping online, it's kind of nice to be able to be like, okay, well, the PRCA line, for sure these guys have worn these, and they've been tested in a saddle. Can you talk some about like the PRCA line? How did that partnership come to be? How did that all end up being where it is now?
So, as the official boot of the National Finals Rodeo, it kind of makes sense. Hey, having a collection that's licensed through the PRCA. When we started that partnership, which for us was a huge feather in our cap, something we hang our hats on, we're very proud of. But how do you continue that momentum? How do you continue to tell that customer base, hey, we're here for the long haul. We're here to provide footwear that is for your lifestyle and your needs. I'll also say at the same time as we're building our roster of Team Durango athletes, VOC is important, voice of consumer, but VOA is just as important, voice of athletes. These are the
Mm-hmm.
individuals where I'll never forget Luke Brown who told me, he said, if I don't catch, I don't eat. Meaning, I don't perform
Mm-hmm.
well, I don't make money, I don't make a living. And so
Mm-hmm.
for us that know that, but for those that maybe don't, they're not aware of how important the equipment these athletes wear and their performance. Because if they don't perform, they don't get paid, their lives change. And so for us, as we were adding to our team, they were providing feedback on, hey, this is maybe a brand I wore prior to Durango. Here's what I loved. Here's what I didn't. Here's what I need. And each event and discipline is different. And we know that. So their footwear needs are a little bit different across the board. But we took that, and so our product team, went to the drawing board and said, okay, let's handcraft these amazing boots that these athletes and again those in our consumer base and fans alike with rodeo enthusiasts want to wear. And that's what kind of birthed the PRCA collection. And then having it badged, it's like the official boot of the PGA. Like if you had a foot
Mm-hmm.
golf, that's how high this level is for the PRCA collection. And so it's our top line, top offering for our brand, having beautiful exotics such as caiman and ostrich and cutter toes and flat leathers and rough outs and different, heel types. And I'm looking at the boots on our wall and they're just absolutely gorgeous.
Mm-hmm.
Offering. So something we've never done before. But again, now that we have the team and we have the associations to support it, it's been incremental.
Scout works with most of our endorsee groups, affiliates, influencers, kind of that whole world, any of the brand partnerships. Scout, what are you seeing in the Durango brand and what they're doing with their athlete collection? And what questions do you have for Erin?
I was actually just thinking about what y'all's process looks like internally. When I first took over this position and reaching out to influencers and doing brand collaborations, I didn't realize it was such a process to make sure like they align with the brand and like their creative style aligns with the brand's creative style. Can you speak a little bit to how you pick influencers and endorsees or athletes on your pro team, like on their styles that work with your styles, if that makes sense?
It does. I think of it as a marriage. Both parties have to merge and, really work really well together. We, have to be a brand that they love and want to represent. And likewise, it's something that we want to represent, on their
Mm-hmm.
or to promote them. And so, as I'm looking at growing the roster right now, I mean, we're close to 20 athletes, which people may say that's not a lot. It's a decent amount when you're kind of managing
That's
it.
a lot of people to manage.
That's a good chunk of people.
And so one thing I remember I was actually doing a podcast or an interview with the WISA or WESA team in Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
We were talking about the brand, and I'll never forget someone on that call said, I know a lot of your athletes. I'm looking at your roster right now, and the first word that comes to mind to describe it is integrity.
Mm.
I'm on the team, but on a different capacity, on the back end. And I took that as such a compliment. And I
Mm-hmm.
make sure I tell our team that, like, guys, you have set the bar. You have integrity. You're respected. You're someone that a lot of people look up to. And so I think, Scout, to your question, we are picky in a good way. We want the best of the best one, endorsing the brand, wearing the patch. And it's individuals that really stand out in a good light, right? And so sometimes I think less is more. So we are a little particular on who we have on the team. But again, at the same light, I want it to grow. I want it to that level where we have a decent offering. So I think it's folks that love the brand that probably, and I actually have a few that wore the brand for years and kind of were saying, hey, I'm willing to wait until you're able to, sign me onto the team, which I thought, now that says a lot. When we're in a day and age where, money drives a lot, which it makes the world go round. I get that.
Mm-hmm.
When you have an athlete saying, I'm willing to wait on you, that speaks volumes to me as well. And so we had a lot that said, hey, I love your brand. I love what you're doing. I love the direction. I want to be a part of that. And so I do look also kind of outside of the arena, who they are as an individual, because they're representing us 24 hours a day. And we live in a very social media driven world, so a lot's online, good and bad.
Mm-hmm.
As a brand who is hiring and signing these individuals, I look at the content that they put forth. And, on the PR side of things, you have to look at it in that lens. But the creativity, what type of style and what type of voice do they have in our industry or outside of it? And how do you help grow our brand? How do you bring it to the next level? Because I'm always looking, hey, I could do a million things and it's never going to grow. I need someone maybe with a different perspective to come in to help me look at it like, Erin, let's try this, do this to make it, the Durango brand be seen in maybe a different capacity or to a different audience. And so for us, that is something we do cherry pick, but within reason. And so influencers alike, you mentioned that term, so I'll go down that rabbit hole a hot second. Non-athletes who are endorsing the brand, we're starting that venture, which a lot of brands are doing now, like the influencer type.
I
So
saw Lonesome Chance has been doing a little bit for you guys. He's great.
yes,
We're a fan. We've certainly reached out to him for a few times for different brands and things. Yeah, good
yes,
work.
he is great guy, and again, it's very authentic. Creative, assets and imagery and videos that he puts forth. So we're diving into that more now, where we're showing the brand lights, not necessarily competing in the arena, but outside of it.
hmm
Mhm.
I loved, kind of to that point, I loved your recent campaigns that, on social, it was like for what you do. And it was like an old pickup, you know, put the boots on, get in the old pickup, run to work. It's clearly before daylight. And then, like, the guys on heavy equipment or whatever the thing is. That sort of in touchness with both in the arena and outside the arena, and really how like the brand just kind of goes along for a ride, right? Like the people are doing what they do in it, but Durango should just be a part of that story. And I love that approach and kind of how you guys are approaching that, for what you do sort of campaign.
Well, I love how detailed you were. The marketing is working because you like verbatim just repeated that whole entire clip, and I know what ad you're talking about. So thank you, Natalie, for that. Yeah, made for what you do has really become our major tagline. No matter
hmm
what brand, collection, capacity of Durangos that you're wearing or however you're using them, what we make is for what you do. And that could be a blue collar, individual who's working on a job site, who is in an oil field or on a rig, or someone who is a rancher, or someone who's maybe a fashionista, or a mom who, is running a ranch but has little ones. And so, whatever boot you're wearing, we want to make that for what you do. And so, to your point exactly, outside of the Western space, our Work Western division has been incrementally huge for our brand. And so, demonstrating that as well, we are selling to the maybe C and D counties, to the individuals that are the good old boys and good old girls, and we don't want to forget that.
hmm
They're a lot of times the backbone in the agricultural world. And so, yes, we are wanting to be here for the long haul as well. So that tagline, that kind of campaign is something that we are using as an overarching approach for the year, and it's done very, very well.
Yeah, I'm sure Scout's thinking the same thing I am, but there's a book called Know What You're For. And I don't know if you've read this book, but you should read this book. It's incredible. But he talks about at a time where was he head pastor? Is that right? Scout at a church? Is that
He
correct?
was, and then he also worked in the marketing, I believe, department for Chick-fil-A. So depending where you
Maybe he
go
was
on this
kind of
story.
doing both, but
Yeah.
my thought was, he was establishing a church and they're building a brand new building and they're trying to come up with the signage, that's going to talk about what it is that's being built. And the reality is that it came down to that it was for that area, right? So I think the area was called like Gwinnett or something like that. So it was like for Gwinnett, right? So it didn't say it was a church. It didn't say, here's all of our features and products and this is what we're going to do, although it's a church. So, a little different, but it wasn't like this is what it is this is who it's for, which I think is so, pretty cool about the campaign that you guys are doing with the for what you do, because it's really about what's being done in them, not necessarily about the product. And I think that's such a community connection way of putting it together. And I don't know how much you've heard us talk about community, but I feel like we don't shut up about it. So from our perspective, big fans.
And I think you hit the nail on the head. I think, evoking the imagery and lifestyle of maybe something, hey, I could do that, and you relate better to it, right? I mean,
hmm
we're in a day and age now where consumers are very savvy. I know that's an ad. I know what you're pushing for. Like, right, they're reading
hmm
the lines. And I think for us, kind of that aspirational approach is very, very key. And I think a lot of
hmm
times consumers like, oh, that's gorgeous. I really like that. I could visualize myself doing that in that product. And I a lot of times will go to like non footwear brands to look at what's their approach. Yeti does a very good job of that. Like, I want
Yes, fan.
you can have 30 Yetis in your cabinet, and I want 30 more because I love, you know what I mean? I love what
hmm
they're doing. And so It's things like that. And you're exactly right, Natalie. It's not about us, it's about the individual that we're selling to and evoking that, creativity connection with them.
Sure. I think another thing that's really cool about it is, over the last maybe 10 years or so, Durango's really built a brand that people are proud to wear, from like an identity standpoint. And I think that really speaks to your ability to create that sort of identity feel like I see myself in the brand. It's bigger than just putting some footwear out there. Not very many people are going to run around in a logo t-shirt unless they feel like they identify with that brand in some way. And I feel like you guys have done that very well. One of the ways that I feel like you guys are doing that is actually through Cowgirl 30 Under 30. Can you talk some about Durango's involvement in Cowgirl 30 and 30? Obviously, you're also an alumni. Maybe talk about how you ended up there and then how Durango ended up involved.
Yes. So, which I love because that's how our paths crossed. We've been a partner of Cowgirl for many, many years on the advertising side. And so I remember sitting when I say Wisa, maybe it's Wesa, but the market,
I 50-50, you know?
I know, it's my accent, was at Denver. And I recall we were during the show in January. Gosh, I don't remember what year it was, maybe 2019, again, before COVID. Ken and Callie at Cowgirl, we were sitting during kind of talking about our meeting, and this idea was brought up. This is what we want to do. And I'm like, that's really, really cool. I mean, I think
Mhm.
kind of the Forbes 50 under 50, but in the Western space for women under the age of 30. And I thought, what a cool concept. So, obviously they ran with it. I remember the first year because we were a partner at that time with the American. And so they had started out kind of in the very small scale of things, had a little
Mhm.
suite, girls came out and all that fun stuff. Fast forward now, I think it was the fifth or sixth year of the program and where it is. Like it's been absolutely incredible. I didn't rush in college. I didn't do any of the sorority stuff, but I feel like this is a sorority without going through the
A
initiation.
way cooler sorority than college, I think.
For women to get together. And I remember Kenny kind of approached me like, hey, I love what you're doing with the brand. Not me, but as a whole, what we were doing with the brand. At that time, we were signing some additional female athletes to our roster on, a couple breakaway and barrel racers,
Mhm.
Lisa Lockhart being one. And he said, I think there's something here. Why don't you guys come on board as the official boot? And I said, I think that's a great idea. And so we've been the official boot for, gosh, I want to say 4 or 5 of those years. And so for us to be able to kind of work one on one, with 30 amazing women, including yourself, Natalie, in our industry that are doing some pretty darn cool stuff at a very young age. Like people don't realize they're not just, pretty faces, but they're actually doing the hard work and really kind of rising up in the ranks. And so for me, I love a goodwill initiative, like paying
Mhm.
it forward and investing in the next generation of young leaders. And I think this is what that program has done. You and I both have been kind of on the same side or different sides of it, like as individual, now as an alum, and then on kind of the sponsor side of things. And
Mhm.
girls walk away like, for example, to your point, hey, I didn't really know much about the Durango brand, but now I do. Now my
Mhm.
eyes are open to what you guys are doing. I want to help that. And then, my goodness, so many opportunities or business relationships have been birthed through this program. So it's kind of like girls will call each other, hey, I'm stuck on this. Can you help me with this?
Mhm.
Do you know someone that can help me? And Katie Schrock, I got to give a shout out.
Katie is the best.
Katie is phenomenal. And she was kind of the moderator and the MC this past April at the program. And she said something. She goes, I think we could drop the biggest issue or problem in the world, and this room could solve it. Like with all
Mhm.
the women and the incredible minds in there. I'm like, that is absolutely true. Bryce with the DRA, the Dude Ranch Association.
Also incredible.
Bryce is phenomenal. And our partnership, we're the official boot of the DRA now because of this. I mean, like we were in the
Mhm.
class together. She goes, would Durango ever be interested in this? And I said, I think so. And so fast forward now. And it's just amazing where women helping women, and we don't get a lot of that. Unfortunately, there's a lot of negativity with
Mhm.
females against females. And it's so refreshing to be with girls that are wanting to help you, wanting to make you grow. Iron sharpens iron. And that's exactly what this program has done. And I think we're at, oh my gosh, over 180 girls now. I mean,
Mhm.
that says a lot. So yes, to your point, Natalie, I could talk all day about it, but it's really, really
Yeah, it is so wild to think about because I was in that first class, and it was number one, it was at a wild time because it was literally the weekend before Oregon shut down for COVID. So, like, if you think about the timing of the world and like our unknowingness about the whole COVID craziness, right? It was kind of at a wild time anyway. So being part of the first class and kind of seeing where it was there at the American and getting that incredible experience as it was even year one. And now having been back, I think I've only missed 1 year. I was at a job in Colorado, but, having been back every time and gotten to give back to the program and be involved in multiple ways, it is so much fun to watch these girls kind of grow up in the program too, as the classes have, as I guess as you become an oldie, right, in the class, you kind of get to meet all these women and become almost mentors to the new class, And
Mhm.
I do kind of feel like it's a sorority in a way, that we're able to kind of have a sisterhood there. And I feel like the brands are sort of benefiting the same thing, I heard a girl, I don't remember where I was, but two girls were talking and somebody complimented their pair of boots. And she goes, these are my 30 under 30 boots. Right. And so I knew she was talking about Durango immediately. Right. But it was just so fun to hear somebody be like, yeah, my 30, like it was such an identifiable like partnership. And like those boots meant something more than just a pair of boots to her. And anyway, I just love Durango's involvement in that, and everything you guys are doing. You do a lot there and all your speaking and things. So yeah, I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah,
Scout,
it's a very rewarding weekend.
yeah, for sure. Scout's gotten to attend. She's not a class member yet. We're working on that. Scout's not a class member yet, but she's come with me to the gala 3 years, 2 years, Scout.
Definitely 2, but I think maybe 3.
Yeah. Yeah. So we've gotten to
20, yeah,
shoot a little bit,
3
which kind
maybe.
of gets Scout to some of the behind the scenes stuff that's harder to get to, even as an alumni, to be honest. But I think we both have a lot of admiration for the program and the connections that are made there.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think one of the things about 30 under 30 to me that stands out is all of the leaders in one room together. I certainly classify you, Erin, as a leader in the ag western digital marketing space specifically. So, as a leader, how do you help your team grow into, I guess, more strategic thinkers as a leader in marketing? Is my question.
Great question, Scout. And I appreciate that compliment very much. You kind of just put the pressure on. No, I don't take it lightly at all. And it takes a lot of hard work behind the scenes, as you guys know. I think one thing for us, like I'm always challenging our team, what can we do different? How can we stand out differently? In a good way, like what's an approach or something that maybe someone else hasn't done that we could bring forth. And so I'm going to kind of segue really quick off of that. And Natalie, this might be a topic for a few minutes down, so I'll steal our own thunder.
No, that's great.
But one thing, for us kind of as a leader, and this happened back in right after COVID, I think in 21, I was in a meeting with our PR firm and we were just talking about different ideas, right? Like what's something that the brand could do that no one else has done? And that birthed our holiday, National Day of the Cowgirl. And
Mm.
so from that meeting, we're like, well, there's a National Day of the Cowboy. Everyone celebrates it, right? It's kind of a unisex, universal name. Girls, women celebrate it. But there's really not a day designated to the unsung women in our industry who are the backbones, who are really, really paving the way. And so I think kind of the 30 under 30, I kind of married a lot of that together, like, wait a minute. And so we, looked and really there wasn't anything that was doing that initiative. So we seized that opportunity. And so that's something I'm very proud of our team, really kind of,
Mm-hmm.
carpe diem, seizing the opportunity, saying, okay, let's run with this. So I'll kind of word vomit on you a hot second because I'm very, very proud of this holiday. So when we started that, we thought, okay, we're going to make a holiday celebrating all these women. But throughout all of it, I'm like, but we have to do something to give back. We have to do something a part of this holiday that's really going to like light a fire and get girls excited. And so we have a scholarship component, a part of the National Day of the Cowgirl. So for those that are going to listen to this, it's on September 15th as a holiday every year. annually to celebrate. What was really cool was Lainey Wilson, who does kind of a cowgirl of the night at all of our shows, got wind though of the holiday, and I think she did a shout out about it. I mean, we have everyone in the
Mm-hmm.
celebrating it, but when you kind of get now the movers and shakers to kind of take wind and they like, oh, this is a cool kind of concept. That was really neat, I think, for us. And so we have a scholarship though that's a part of the holiday that kicks off September 15th, and we're going to award $30,000 to an individual, a female, who's enrolled in a 4-year program, who is pursuing a Western affiliated degree. And then the 30,000 is over her next 3 years of undergraduate. So we're kind of help moving her forward through graduation. So I'm happy to say we've already have 2 winners. So we're this September will be the 3rd annual one that we open. So Scout, long answer to your short question. That was something for us that I was really excited that we kind of thought about, seized. No one's done it, and we ran with it, and we get to see that blossom year over year, which is really, really cool.
I didn't realize it was that large of a scholarship. Like, what a difference you guys are making in someone's college experience. That's a big deal.
Yeah, I mean, I wish I would have had something like that when I went to school. But yeah, it really is. And I think, Natalie, when you kind of see these girls, like you're helping make a difference in a good way, pursuing their educational goals and dreams. And the applications that we got were not just girls that are like, yeah, kind of flighty or fly by night.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're like tremendous individuals doing a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So it's actually a very hard process to pull
Try
there.
to pick somebody, I'm
Yeah,
sure.
but it does. 10,000 a year it helps. Every penny
Yeah,
helps.
for sure. Yeah. I think kind of what's cool about National Day of the Cowgirl, and actually that should have been on my list when I was like, these are the things we want to talk about. But I think what's kind of cool about National Day of the Cowgirl is that cowgirls are a big reason as to why like women have full voting rights, full, like we are just as much citizens as the next person. Cowgirls were a big part of that. And celebrating the cowgirl in general is something that all women really could identify with, whether they're in our industry or outside of our industry, because of that instrumental history of cowgirls, making it on the frontier, to be honest, and really making it possible for women to be where they are in the beautiful Western world of the U.S. that we live in. But that's pretty cool. That identifies inside and outside the industry, I think, and telling that history is a big deal. Another thing that made me think of was the Opry. I actually got the opportunity to go to Opry. Montana Silversmiths actually set us up. That was really awesome. We happened to be in Nashville for some work, and we get there, and it's Durango night. And I was like, hey, I didn't know this was a thing. And it was just so fun to see that. I saw that you went back and you were at the Opry not that long ago. Let's talk Opry, and that partnership.
Yeah, different cowgirls, but there are some cowgirls that have graced the stage there in Nashville at the Grand Ole Opry. So, that's the stage that made country music famous. And so, kind of prior, this is a big year for the Opry. They turned 100, which not many
Mm-hmm.
businesses can say that. The longest standing live show back in like 1925, I think October, November was the date or the month. But prior to kind of this year, we have been affiliated with the Opry and with WSM Radio, which is the broadcasting side of things. So that's been over 10 years. So a long time ago, we kind of started that partnership, which has been tremendous, instrumental and great. They have an awesome team. And then this year, turning 100, we were talking with the Grand Ole Opry and Ryman hospitality team about coming on board as kind of an official partner with that capacity. So that's been awesome. Every Tuesday night is kind of Durango night, or we have commercials that run. We give a free pair of boots away, and you would not believe how crazy people go for a free pair of boots.
I
Um,
saw it. They do.
it's fun. It's so fun to see that. And so, we're a part of that. And then outside, we are doing some activations on the plaza, which is outside the main doors before you go into the show. But they are an incredible industry from a hospitality standpoint, but also just how they have made Nashville and country music what it is today. And then I have to say, there's never a bad show. Like you will never go there
Mm-hmm.
and see like, oh, that was a mediocre show. Never. The
Mm-hmm.
level of talent in that town alone, but the diversity, the variety that comes, it's incredible. Like the Ryman itself, which is the kind of the mother church of country music, and then the Grand Ole Opry house where it's at today, is so fun. So yeah, that's been a long partnership that we want to continue to do. But this year was really neat, turning 100.
Yeah, for sure. I think that there needs to be a National Day of the Cowgirl night at Opry and do like a women in country kind of thing. Anyway, that's just my cute little
Love it.
pitch for that idea.
Think you're onto something, Natalie.
Yeah, I'll help. So, tell me about some of the other campaigns that you have been able to be a part of it at Durango, and some of the things that maybe are a little different. Some interesting things. I've seen your recent collaboration with the backup dancers on Beyonce, and kind of some other things that you guys have been doing. What are some other campaigns that you feel like really were just winners for you? And do you feel like you knew those were going to be winners before they even went out there?
Yes. So kind of to your first point, we actually, our team got a random call early April from Beyonce's styling team, and they and needed product for the backup dancers for the upcoming Cowboy Carter tour. Kind of out of the blue, not necessarily a call that I'm used to getting every day. We were able to outfit all of her backup dancers on stage, her male and female dancers, which has been kind of neat to see Durango on stage across the leg of the Cowboy Carter tour, which I know is ending here in a couple weeks. So that was very different for us. Not necessarily the market we tap into as a brand, but was able to seed some product there. On the flip side, I will say you kind of mentioned what was a winning campaign, and no pun intended, but we have a tagline that we utilize, what winners wear. And a
Mm-hmm.
lot of that is associated with our roster of athletes. So the Team Durango campaign, anytime we put forth marketing material for that, what winners wear is really what we coin and
Mm-hmm.
associate that. So a few years ago, we did a documentary, and we called it was the Team Durango Journey to the NFR, and it was
Mm-hmm.
featuring Paul Eves, Jordan Briggs, and Riley Webb. And so what our team did was, documentary style, which Natalie, you're very familiar with, of them, for 3 to 5 days each, and really got the raw content that maybe not a lot of folks get the opportunity to see, right? They just see them compete, win, a lot of money, and then head out. But they're not seeing, the 23 hours of,
Entering on Procom and all through the night. Yeah, for sure.
yeah. And so we did that. And that was, for me, I thought was a really great opportunity to, one, showcase the brand in a different light, but also show them like, our boots are here for the long haul. They're part of their equipment. They're what they're wearing, 13, 14 hours a day. They don't know tennis shoes. And so for us to kind of show that in their family light and a lot of the obstacles that they had faced. Paul had just kind of had an injury, obviously, a few years ago that kind of prevented him, from finishing out the year. Riley, who had a lot of pressure on his shoulders at a young age. And then Jordan Briggs having Rolo, but also in her mom's shadow, Christy Peterson. So we got to show a different side of these athletes that most folks might not have seen. So that was like winning, no pun intended, what winners wear campaign that we ran. And I'm happy to say, and I'm stealing my own thunder, we're doing that again this year. And we're actually kicking
Oh,
off.
I
Um,
love that.
yes, it's a 4 month campaign. And we have 4 athletes each month that we're going to highlight starting next month in August through November. So keep your ears peeled. I can't really divulge it yet. It is fun. Follow on Durango Social and online to see it. But yes, we're going to feature those similar documentary styles upcoming here next month.
Cool. Yeah, I'm going to be a big fan of that already. I can tell. So for
Yeah.
sure. Um, Scout, what questions do you have for Erin? I know that you and I have talked a lot about Erin and her talent and just her heart, and just, I don't know, being able to chat with you anytime we get the opportunity is just so much fun. Scout, what do you have?
I have one. Oh, I actually have two more questions in my list of things. The first one is just being in the industry for so long. What are a few things that you've seen come and go that you either wish you could bring back, or things that you have brought back and they were successful bringing back, like campaign wise?
Oh my gosh, you put me on the spot. Dig into the archives.
I tend to do that.
Oh, no, but it's a great, great question. You know, what I have found is staying true to your roots as a brand is very important. And so a lot of times I think we have to grow and that's important, but sometimes we're like
Mhm.
here and like and what I have found is a lot of times we've tried that, right? And you kind of fail. And you want to fail fast and move on,
Mhm.
but keep trying something you're failing at. Um, but we have a really good now process and direction of knowing our brand identity and our persona and knowing, hey, this is our lane. We need to stay in it. We need to own it. We need to do the best that we can with it. And so I think a lot of times for us, we want to be the best of the best. Or when you think of footwear, you think of Durango first. You go into a store if they carry it and you're asking for the brand, you're asking for the products. Or you saw, I mean, it's a minimum of like 7 times before someone really clicks to understand what you're marketing.
Mhm.
It's not a drop in the bucket, one and done type of scenario. So,
Sure.
for us now elevating the brand and understanding a lot of those tactics is something that we now are getting better at. We hadn't in the past. And so for us, like I have to remember to myself, like stay in your lane, do what you're doing, and continue to do it better than you did before. And I'm one like, how do I get better? And I'm like, I don't like to just be like, oh, it's fine. Like, no, no. How do we just grow? How do we make this not perfect, but let's get this sucker
Mhm.
where it needs to be? And so for me, I don't know if that kind of answered it in a long way, but I found like when you try to go outside of really your realm is when things kind of get wonky and
Mhm.
offset. For us, it's like do what you've done the best. And I also will say vintage comes back. So it's kind of nice to do a little bit of like a nod to the historic side of things.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
People like that. Like, we're almost 60 years old of a brand. So we're actually not really old compared to maybe others in our industry. But something I think that's really cool is, hey, we've done this years and years ago. Bringing that back in the
Mm-hmm.
traditional modern sense, I think is something also really cool. So that's something I think as a brand is neat when you kind of do a historic. For example, we're turning 60 next year. It's like a 60th collection that kind of nods to where the brand was or it started out as.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mhm.
really like.
Yeah, for sure. I'm a fan of that. I feel like Erin needs a do better t-shirt, Scout. we've we've
Absolutely. We should do
threatened
that.
we've threatened to make t-shirts because Scout's response to most things is do better, you know?
Do better. Very simple. Just do better.
Yeah, yeah.
Period.
Always
Not just
growing, you
do it,
know.
but do better. I like it.
Anyways, I'm glad that you brought up like the 60 years and maybe like it's like nostalgic
Mhm.
almost. I think that's what people really, really like. That's kind of where I was going with it too. I was thinking about like how, I don't know, like all the wood flooring used to be really in, and then people covered it with carpet, and now people are like demolishing homes for like ripping up layers of flooring for this like new but old wood flooring. So that's kind of where I was going with that question. But yeah, I love that. Also love a good throwback in the Western fashion. I feel like they did some good things back then. So
Mhm.
we can always bring that back up.
And things full circle. Like you may say, "Oh,
Mhm.
this will never come back in style," and like non-Western, like I'm thinking back when I'm a '90s baby, so like
The 90s.
the scrunchie or the choker or the
Mhm.
low rise. I mean, all that stuff is coming back in this generation. Thing.
Belts without a purpose.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Or scarves that have no purpose. Like they're
Yeah.
actual bulky scarves. Not a wild rag, like an actual winter scarf that we wore with like,
Yes.
American Eagle
A
shirt.
tank top. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Layered.
Just like draper on your neck.
Oh my, hideous. But it's a thing. So to that point, things do full circle back and wallpaper, kind of talking about
Mhm.
this is like
Yeah.
paper is a thing now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
Everybody was like so anti-wallpaper, for a while there, and now here we are again.
yep. Yep.
Well, Scout, do you want to set us up with the last question?
You know that I do. Okay, Erin. So we release these podcasts on Sunday nights as a soft launch to Monday. So it's a good kickoff to your week. You can ease into your week on Sunday nights. We ask all of our guests, what is your soft launch to Monday? And I'll just go ahead and tell you, my soft launch to last Monday was running over to my mom's house to pick up her hair dryer because I was in the middle of blow drying my hair and mine died. So that was my soft launch to last Monday. But anyways, what's your soft launch?
When you say that, I'm asking the question because is it like a
Yeah.
statement? Is it something for people
It
So
can be
like
anything.
mine, I actually end up working for a couple of hours on Sunday. So like I'll go through my email inbox, right? And I want to clean out all the stuff that I don't necessarily need to spend much time on Monday. I kind of get my whole head aligned about me. We do some goals analysis, tracking sort of stuff that I'll go over and make sure we're kind of on the right track for the week, and kind of just get my head about me, right? And be ready for work on Monday. Some people have said church. Some people have said I wash my hair. Some people have said I spend the day doing anything that has nothing to do with a screen, right? Like maybe it's gardening or whatever it is. So what
Natalie takes like a real professional
I
on it, and I'm like, I just want to start with clean hair.
I so it really can be anything, but what is your Sunday reset? So you're
Okay.
ready to rock for Monday.
Oh my goodness. Okay, now I'm following you. Oh gosh, I would have to say, the reset is a very important word, something I don't do very often. Work-life balance sometimes gets very muddied and
Mhm.
not as clean as I would like it to be.
Especially when there's events.
Oh, as you know, yes, and just in our world, you're always connected at some point. Like, it's very hard to say, "Hey, I'm all caught up and I don't need to be connected," because it's just stuff happens every day.
Mhm.
And so I would have to say my soft lunch or on Sunday going into the week, it's regrouping, it's resetting, it's refocusing because a lot of times, it's easy to get that Monday morning scaries or that's Sunday scaries, but like anticipating Monday or what that week holds. So something for me, I know like I have to kind of reset my mind to be focused on what's coming up that week. And so a lot of times, like as I'm praying or I'm asking God to like be with me at the upcoming week, if there's a big event or if there's big presentations or there's big meetings or anything like that, to refocus my mind to be in that right mindset going into it. Because a lot of times you can get very anxiety ridden or you can be, I think, overwhelmed very easily. So for me, it's kind of breathing, it's resetting, it's refocusing on what's important. Because a lot of
Mhm.
times it's easy to get your mind focused on things that necessarily aren't as important as you think they are.
Mhm.
And so for me, it's kind of like resetting, refocusing, and going into the day with a great mindset and week.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's critically important and that kind of soft launch to Monday, of course, is a play on soft launching a product, right? Like that's a
Mhm.
marketing play on words, but I think that really, thinking intentionally about how to spend your Sunday or whatever your version of Sunday is, right? If you're in events, it's probably like Wednesday or something, but
Mhm, mhm.
I think that taking that time to reset and recenter is so important for like burnout prevention, right? Let's just start with that really terrible topic that nobody wants to ever talk about, right? Is that you're getting a chance to kind of be a human, and get yourself reset and ready to go for another week of everything. So yeah, I appreciate that. That's a
My
great answer.
my grandmother would always say, "Take care of yourself because there's only one of you." And
Mm,
if you don't do that, you can't be any productive to anybody. And so also it's like, you know what? You have a life and it's okay to live it. So,
mhm, mhm, for sure. Well, Erin, I can't thank you enough for being on the podcast. It is an absolute joy to talk to you every single time we get the opportunity. So we sure appreciate you taking the time to jump on and be part of it.
oh, well, thank you guys so much. I'm honored to be a part of this on the 24th episode. So, thank you guys so much for the time.